Hello and welcome back to my Kerbal Space Program series. This is episode 5, the episode where I was going to be sending the ship off to Jool. You might have noticed that clearly isn't the case because a certain element is missing from the ship. I did a short test flight with it, with the rover attached, and basically it pained me to do it, but I had to remove it because it was too heavy and it debalanced the ship constantly during flight. Like using the engine on the back, I could only throttle it up to about 10%, and even then I had to struggle the entire time to keep it as stable as possible. So I got rid of it, and I figured what better thing to do with it than to put it to use and try and land it down somewhere. So I chose the moon, and I came in on a very, very steep trajectory, and I had to attempt this like 3 times before I could get it. But I was very impressed with how resilient the whole thing is. In one of the attempts I just bounced, I hit the surface at about 20 meters per second on the wheels, and it just bounced into the air and carried on. Then admittedly it did land upside down and smash, but this was besides the point. So this is basically how I would have landed it on lathe. I would have brought it down like that, popped off these 2 fuel pods in midair, and then turned the parachutes on and landed it down. And it's somewhat a blessing that I realised that it was too heavy because, for one, it faces backwards. None of the wheels go in the right direction, and it has some interesting effects like the wheelie. But the reason I brought it out here was I noticed my orbit was close to something else I landed, which was this tank. And the reason I drove it over here, more or less, was because when I built this tank, I thought it was big. And then I parked the rover next to it for a size comparison. So, moving swiftly on now to this launch. This rover is almost identical to the landers I put up previously. It forgoes the landing legs in favour of just having 4 sets of wheels, and it has a bunch of solar panels around the outside to ensure that it keeps up power. Now, the engines attached to it are attached by docking ports, but the docking ports are not only attached to the engine, so that when the time comes that I'm landing it down, I can just de-dock them and the engines will fall off because they will be completely unnecessary afterwards. But this should keep weight down, meaning the craft is now ready with that docked. So in the next episode I'll be setting off for Jool. Thank you for watching.